You are more than the sum of your thoughts, more than the collection of habits and routines you call normal. Beneath the surface of every decision, every reaction, lies a subtle current, a quiet spark of awareness that waits for you to notice it. Most of the time, it flickers in the shadows, unnoticed, drowned out by the noise of your day-to-day life. But what if you began to pay attention? What if you allowed yourself to feel the tremor beneath the surface, the gentle pulse of consciousness that quietly shapes reality? Imagine two people sitting in the same room, hearing the same words, witnessing the same events. One reacts with anxiety, the other with calm curiosity. Their outer worlds diverge not because of circumstance, but because of the inner lens they bring to the experience. This lens, your awareness, is the instrument through which the universe collapses infinite possibility into the form you experience. In quantum terms, the observer effect tells us that the act of noticing does more than reflect reality. It participates in creating it. Every thought, every emotional ripple subtly alters the wave of potential that surrounds you. This chapter is about finding that spark and holding it gently. Begin with your breath. Feel the rise and fall of your chest. Notice the texture of thought as it moves through your mind. Observe the emotional tone that accompanies it. Are you tense, restless, calm, curious? Each feeling is a frequency, a subtle vibration that resonates through the field of potential around you. When you notice it without judgment, without forcing it to be right or wrong, you are engaging in a profound act of creation. Science and spirit meet here. Neuroscience shows that your brain literally changes as you become aware. Neural pathways strengthen when you pay attention. Emotions become modulators of perception. Quantum physics whispers the same truth. Reality is not fixed. Possibility waves exist everywhere until your consciousness chooses, until your attention collapses them into form. Your quiet noticing is a tiny, powerful act of alchemy, so let yourself watch. Watch without interfering. Watch without trying to force an outcome. Watch as a cloud moves across your inner sky, as a thought drifts like a particle wave collapsing into matter. Here is the truth. By simply noticing, you are taking the first step toward conscious creation. By simply feeling, you are opening a door that has always been there, leading to a reality that bends not to circumstance, but to intention. And as you sit with this awareness, as you feel the first tremors of choice ripple through your body and mind, know this: you are awake. You are beginning. The spark has been lit, and the world you thought was fixed is quietly, patiently waiting to respond to your gaze. End of chapter. Shift. Let yourself rest in the simple power of noticing. Release the need to control. Trust that your awareness is already shaping the world, and that transformation begins the moment you allow yourself to truly see. You are not merely living in reality, you are continuously shaping it. Every glance, every thought, every subtle shift in attention acts like a brushstroke on the canvas of existence. The observer effect is not just a principle of quantum physics, it is the secret blueprint of your own consciousness. When a particle is observed, it collapses from endless possibility into one tangible outcome. The same is true for your life. What you focus on, what you give attention to, becomes real. Think of two people walking through the same crowded street. One notices every small act of kindness, every subtle rhythm of life, and feels connected, inspired, alive. The other notices only danger, traffic, frustration, and fear. Both experience the same street, yet their worlds are entirely different. Their outer reality is a reflection of the inner focus they carry. This is the power of the observer within. Your mind is not a passive screen, it is the lens that brings reality into being. Here's the truth. Your consciousness is a participatory force. Neuroscience shows that neurons fire differently depending on attention, creating new pathways that reinforce perception. Your emotional state, your frequency, guides these observations, turning them into patterns, behaviors, and ultimately your life. Love, curiosity, gratitude, or fear, doubt, resentment. Each vibration tunes the probabilities around you, collapsing waves of potential into the reality you experience. Imagine sitting quietly, observing your own thoughts as if from a distance. You notice a recurring fear, the fear of not being enough. Most people react immediately. resist, suppress, or judge. But when you observe without reaction, without needing to fix or erase, the fear changes. Its intensity diminishes, its hold loosens. You become aware that it is not the truth. It is a pattern, a waveform waiting for your attention to collapse it into form. And you realize, by observing without resistance, you are already transforming it. This is the poetry of consciousness. The double slit experiment is a metaphor for your daily life. Reality exists in infinite possibilities until you look, until your attention collapses probability into form. Your thoughts are more than fleeting mental noise. They are forces, active participants in shaping the world. What you choose to notice and how you choose to feel while noticing writes the script of your experience. As you continue, feel the weight of this power, not as pressure but as liberation. You are free to shift focus, to reorient attention, to choose which currents of reality to collapse into being. The observer within is not passive. It is the very tool of your conscious creation. Every moment you pay attention is a moment of choice. A moment where the invisible becomes visible, the potential becomes reality, and the inner reshapes the outer. End of chapter. Shift. Sit in this awareness. Let it wash over you. Your attention is sacred, your focus is creative, and your inner gaze is the architect of your world. By embracing the observer within, you awaken to the profound truth. Reality is not imposed upon you, it is co-created, moment by moment, by the quiet power of your conscious attention. You are not confined to a single reality. The world you experience is not fixed, not rigid, not predetermined. Instead, it exists as a spectrum of possibilities, a vast, unseen ocean of potential that flows beneath every moment. Each thought, each emotion, each subtle shift in your focus sends ripples across this field, nudging certain probabilities to the surface while letting others fade into the depths. The quantum world teaches us that what is not observed remains a wave of infinite potential. And here is the paradox. The moment you notice, the wave collapses, a singular reality emerges, and yet you remain free to choose which wave you observe next. Imagine two colleagues receiving the same critique at work. One sees it as failure, feels fear, and closes off. The other sees it as an opportunity, feels curiosity, and takes action. The events are identical, but their inner states, frequencies of emotion, collapse the waveforms of reality differently. One experiences limitation, the other expansion. This is the subtle, poetic dance of possibility. Your inner world collapses the outer. Your energy field collapses the potential into form. Your emotions act like tuning forks, calibrating the wavelength of reality around you. Gratitude, excitement, love. They amplify possibility, bending outcomes toward abundance. Fear, doubt, resentment. They contract the field, limiting what you can perceive or create. Science calls this frequency. Quantum physics calls it the observer effect. Spiritual teachers call it alignment. And your subconscious mind? It is the invisible current that quietly reinforces patterns, sometimes without your awareness. By consciously choosing which waves to ride, by noticing your emotional resonance, you step into the flow of creation rather than drift as a passenger of circumstance. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine a vast ocean of shimmering waves, each one a potential reality. Some are small, subtle, almost invisible. Others surge with power, calling your attention. Which will you allow to reach your shores? Which will you collapse into form by noticing, by aligning, by acting? The waves are endless, yet your focus is the rudder, guiding the vessel of your life through the sea of possibility. And here is the secret. There is no wrong wave. There is only the wave you choose. By practicing awareness, by observing without judgment, by tuning your emotional frequency to curiosity and openness, you learn to surf the invisible currents of potential with grace. Your life begins to feel less like a series of random events and more like a symphony of possibilities, orchestrated by your conscious presence. End of chapter. Shift. As you open your eyes, carry this truth. You are not at the mercy of circumstance. You are a wave rider, a creator, a conscious observer. Every choice, every feeling, every subtle attention collapses infinite potential into tangible reality. Your improbable becomes inevitable when you learn to flow with the waves of possibility, tuning yourself to the frequency of creation. You are guided every moment by a compass you rarely see. Deep within your mind, beneath the chatter of conscious thought, lies the subconscious. A silent navigator that quietly steers your choices, your reactions, your perception of reality. It remembers patterns from childhood, beliefs absorbed without question, habits that feel automatic. Most of the time, you move through life unaware that these invisible currents are shaping your path. But what if you could illuminate them? What if you could consciously map these hidden codes and redirect your journey? Consider two friends walking into the same room of opportunity. One hesitates, plagued by an unspoken belief that they are not enough. The other moves forward with ease, guided by a subconscious confidence they never questioned. The room itself has not changed. The circumstances are identical, but the internal compass creates entirely different experiences. Your subconscious programs function in the same way, collapsing probabilities in alignment with your hidden beliefs. Noticing these currents is the first step toward conscious creation. Here's the truth: your subconscious is not your enemy. It is a faithful servant, executing the instructions it has been given. Emotions, memories, and learned behaviors form the code, the silent programming that dictates your frequency. Quantum physics shows us that consciousness collapses possibility into form. When your subconscious is aligned with fear, limitation is collapsed into reality. When aligned with curiosity, joy, and intentional focus, opportunity, abundance, and growth emerge effortlessly. Begin a gentle observation. Close your eyes and imagine a golden compass spinning slowly in your chest. Each needle represents a belief, a hidden assumption, an emotional habit. Watch as it points toward old patterns, familiar ways of reacting, paths chosen long before conscious thought had a say. Now imagine your hand reaching out, gently nudging the needle. With intention, you begin to redirect it. The compass is not broken. It is teachable. It responds to love, to awareness, to clarity. Practical rewiring is possible. Visualize a recurring challenge in your life, an emotional or behavioral pattern that seems unavoidable. See it as a waveform in the subconscious ocean. Now imagine sending light, attention, and curiosity toward it. Watch it shift, realign, collapse into a form that serves your highest potential. This is the essence of reprogramming: noticing without judgment, guiding without force, redirecting without fear. Over time, your inner compass begins to point toward conscious creation rather than unconscious reaction. End of chapter. Shift. Sit with this awareness. Your subconscious is not a mysterious dictator. It is a navigable, malleable guide. Each moment of attention, each act of noticing, rewires the hidden currents. By mapping, observing, and realigning your inner compass, you step into a life that reflects your conscious desires, your chosen frequency, and your awakened identity. The journey is no longer random. It is intentional, poetic, and profoundly yours. You are more than thought. You are not only mind. You are a living spectrum of energy, a field of vibration that resonates through the quantum fabric of reality. Emotion is the language of this field. Every feeling you hold, every subtle wave of joy, fear, or curiosity carries frequency. It collapses possibility into form. It anchors potential into the tangible world. What you feel is not separate from what you create. It is the currency by which reality responds to you. Consider two people receiving the same unexpected news. One feels panic, constriction, a tightening in the chest, and their day spirals into frustration, blame, and limitation. The other feels curiosity, a flutter of excitement, a sense of wonder, and new doors appear. Solutions emerge, and unexpected opportunities surface. The circumstances were identical, yet the emotional response collapsed entirely different probabilities into reality. This is emotional alchemy, the transmutation of inner state into outer experience. Here's the truth: emotions are not random. They are measurable energy. Neuroscience shows that your body literally emits electromagnetic signals shaped by feelings. Quantum science whispers the same. Each vibration interacts with the field of possibility, collapsing waveforms, shifting outcomes. Fear anchors limitation. Love amplifies creation. Curiosity opens doors previously invisible. You are constantly calibrating the universe around you, whether consciously or unconsciously. Close your eyes and sense your body. Where does tension hide? Where does excitement rise? Emotions are the compass of your inner world. They point to what is aligned, what is resisting, what is ready to be transformed. By observing them without judgment, by feeling them fully, you become the alchemist of your own energy. A subtle shift from constriction to curiosity, from fear to fascination, can alter not only your perception, but the architecture of your lived experience. Practical mastery begins with awareness. Next time you feel anger, disappointment, or doubt, pause. Notice it as a waveform in the sea of potential. Then breathe into it, let it expand, let it dissolve, and consciously replace it with a higher frequency: love, gratitude, excitement, or playful curiosity. Watch as your internal shift ripples outward. The outer world begins to respond, synchronistic events emerge, and probabilities once hidden become tangible. End of chapter. Shift. Sit with this understanding. Your emotions are not obstacles. They are instruments. They are alchemical tools that translate thought, attention, and intention into lived reality. By mastering emotional frequency, by transforming fear into clarity and desire into resonance, you step fully into conscious creation. You are no longer a passive observer. You are a co-creator, shaping the very fabric of your existence with the power of feeling. You are not moving through life blindly. Every moment, every event, every encounter is coded with invisible rhythms, currents that respond to your inner state, subtle nudges that guide you toward alignment. What you call coincidence, what you call luck, is often synchronicity, the universe bending probabilities to match the frequency you emit. When you tune into this flow, reality itself seems to bend, guiding you toward the exact moments, people, and opportunities you need. Consider two people waking up on the same morning, both with a decision to make. One rushes, resistant, impatient, clinging to control, and everything feels heavy, delayed, frustrating. The other breathes, trusts, and moves with subtle intuition, noticing signs along the way, a message, a chance encounter, a timing that feels almost miraculous. Their outer worlds differ, not because the universe favors one over the other, but because the inner state of attention and frequency collapses possibilities differently. The currents of synchronicity respond to the observer within. Here's the truth. Life has a rhythm, and your consciousness is an instrument. Quantum physics reveals that probabilities exist as waves until observed, collapsing into reality only when attention is applied. Your inner state, the calm, the clarity, the alignment, acts as the conductor of these waves. Anxiety, resistance, distraction, fear. These create interference patterns, scattering the flow of events. Alignment, curiosity, patience, joy, these focus and amplify currents, making the improbable not only possible but inevitable. Close your eyes and imagine a river flowing toward a vast ocean. You are the water, but also the banks, the currents, the wind guiding its course. Notice how a subtle bend in your perception changes the path. How a gentle pause or shift in attention allows the river to navigate rocks, avoid turbulence, and arrive effortlessly at its destination. That is how synchronicity works. The universe mirrors your inner rhythm. The more you trust, the more aligned you feel, the more seamless the flow of events becomes. Practical mastery begins with noticing signs, small nudges, and repeated patterns. A song that plays at the right moment, a chance meeting that leads to opportunity, a feeling that nudges you toward a decision. These are not accidents. They are probabilities collapsing in response to your inner alignment. By paying attention, by tuning your frequency, by consciously participating in the flow, you co-create timing rather than struggle against it. End of chapter. Shift. Rest in this awareness. Timing is not something you force. Flow is not something you chase. By aligning your inner state, by moving with the subtle currents of synchronicity, you step into a life where miracles are not rare. They are natural. You are no longer separate from the rhythm of existence. You are the rhythm itself, orchestrating reality with every thought, emotion, and action. You are not separate. Every thought you hold, every belief you nurture, every action you take resonates far beyond your immediate perception. Quantum entanglement teaches us that particles, once connected, remain linked across distances, influencing each other instantly. The same principle applies to consciousness. Your inner state, your frequency, reaches across the invisible web of existence, subtly shaping outcomes, experiences, and even the lives of those around you. Reality is not divided from you. It is a mirror reflecting the patterns of your mind, the resonance of your being. Consider two colleagues collaborating on the same project. One approaches with fear, judgment, and resistance, and tension radiates through their communication, subtly influencing outcomes, closing doors, and creating friction. The other approaches with curiosity, openness, and calm intention, and opportunities appear. Ideas flow, connections deepen. The circumstances are identical, yet their inner states ripple through the fabric of reality, demonstrating the invisible tether between mind and matter. Your internal landscape is entangled with your external world, moment by moment. Here's the truth. Controlling your inner state is not optional. It is the instrument by which you shape existence. Consciousness collapses probabilities into form. When your thoughts are turbulent, scattered, or reactive, they create interference patterns, limiting your field of potential. When your mind is aligned, focused, and attuned to constructive emotion, the waveform of reality bends, synchronizes, and converges in ways that feel almost miraculous. Your intentions, your emotional frequency, and your focus are threads in an unseen tapestry, weaving the patterns of your life even as you breathe. Close your eyes and feel the threads. Imagine each thought as a luminous filament extending outward, touching particles, events, and even other consciousnesses. Watch how the vibration of gratitude, love, or curiosity sends waves that resonate far beyond the immediate moment. Observe how fear, judgment, or resentment contracts, tangles, and limits the flow. The moment you become aware of these invisible connections, you gain the power to disentangle, align, and direct your energy toward creation rather than resistance. Practical mastery begins with conscious observation. Each time you feel emotional turbulence, pause, breathe, realign your attention. Send coherence, clarity, and intention into the wave. Quantum science tells us the effect may be invisible at first, but it is already real. Your mind is entangled with reality itself. Every shift in your state recalibrates the field of potential, allowing new outcomes to emerge. End of chapter. Shift. Sit with this realization. You are not a passive observer of the world. You are entangled with it, inseparable from the infinite web of cause and effect, mind and matter. By mastering your inner state, by aligning your frequency and intention, you subtly rewrite the pattern of reality itself. The illusion of separation fades, and you awaken to the poetic truth. Everything is connected, and you are at the center of it all. You are not a passenger in the flow of existence. You are the artist, the sculptor, the architect of your own experience. Quantum physics tells us that reality exists as waves of possibility until observed, until attention collapses them into form. Here is the secret. You are constantly observing, constantly influencing, constantly creating. The question is not whether you are designing your reality. It is whether you are doing so consciously or leaving it to the patterns of habit, fear, and unconscious programming. Imagine two people at a crossroads. One drifts, uncertain, reacting to external circumstances, moving in cycles of repetition. The other closes their eyes, visualizes a desired outcome, senses the feeling of having already achieved it, and moves through the same world with clarity and purpose. The difference is not luck. The difference is conscious creation. Your inner state, the frequency of your emotions, the focus of your attention, the clarity of your intention determines which possibilities collapse into reality. Here's the truth. Visualization is not daydreaming. It is a tool of quantum alignment. When you vividly imagine a reality, engage all senses and anchor it in feeling. You are sending coherent waves of energy through the field of potential. Neuroscience confirms this. Repeated visualization strengthens neural pathways, conditioning the subconscious mind to recognize and actualize aligned opportunities. Your inner world becomes a blueprint that the universe can respond to, a harmonic signature guiding probability toward manifestation. Begin with a simple practice. Close your eyes. Imagine the life you desire, not just as a distant goal, but as a present experience. What does it feel like? What is the texture of your day, the rhythm of your breath, the warmth in your chest? Hold that frequency. Anchor it with gratitude, with curiosity, with excitement. Let your subconscious mind absorb the sensory details and emotional resonance. Watch as it begins to shape your decisions, your actions, and your perception of opportunity in alignment with that inner blueprint. Subconscious reprogramming is equally essential. Old beliefs, limiting narratives, and habitual fears act as resistance, scattering the waves of possibility. Observe these patterns without judgment. Replace them with coherent, supportive instructions to your mind. I am capable. I am aligned. I am creating effortlessly. Each repetition, each conscious choice strengthens the coherence of your inner field, reshaping the reality it attracts. End of chapter shift. Sit with this understanding. You are no longer a passive observer, no longer subject to circumstance. You are the conscious designer of your reality, blending intention, emotion, and attention into a cohesive, living blueprint. Every thought, every feeling, every act of focus contributes to the masterpiece of your life. The universe is waiting, aligned, responsive, and ready to reflect the reality you consciously choose to create. You are already a quantum creator. Every thought, every emotion, every subtle shift of attention has been shaping your world all along. Now the difference is conscious integration. You are invited to embody the awareness that your inner state, your frequency, your focus, your alignment is inseparable from the reality you experience. Creation is not a distant goal. It is your natural state. The patterns of your mind, once unconscious, now pulse with intention. Your identity becomes the instrument through which the universe composes your life. Imagine two people facing the same challenge. One reacts unconsciously, letting fear and doubt dictate their choices. The other pauses, observes inner patterns, aligns with clarity, and acts from presence. The outer circumstances remain identical, but the lived experience diverges completely. You are the second person. Your identity, your emotional coherence, and your conscious attention collapse infinite potential into the tangible reality you desire. This is the art of living as a quantum creator. You orchestrate life from alignment rather than resistance. Here's the truth. Embodiment is the bridge between theory and reality. Quantum physics tells us possibilities exist as waves, collapsing only when observed. Neuroscience shows us that repetition, focus, and emotional resonance rewire the brain, solidifying new patterns of perception and action. Spiritual psychology reminds us that identity shifts are the source of transformation. When thought, feeling, and action converge in coherence, creation becomes effortless. Your life moves from a sequence of reactions to a symphony of intentional manifestations. Begin with daily alignment. Notice your emotional state each morning. Pause, breathe, and feel the frequency you wish to radiate. Visualize not just the outcomes you desire, but the identity you wish to inhabit. The person who naturally attracts synchronicity, abundance, and clarity. Observe your thoughts, recalibrate when needed, and allow each action to reflect this inner state. You are not chasing reality. You are embodying it. End of chapter shift. Carry this awareness into every moment. Let each interaction, each decision, each breath reflect your coherence. You are no longer a passive observer of life, nor a distant architect. You are fully present, fully aligned, fully creative. Reality is not something imposed upon you, it is a mirror of your being. By living as a quantum creator, you transform perception, identity, and the trajectory of your life. You are awake, you are aligned, and the universe responds in kind. You are no longer bound by the ticking of a clock, by the structure of minutes or hours. Time is a river, fluid, responsive, shaped by your consciousness, and you are both the observer and the current. The 24 minutes you have spent here were never a limit. They were a gateway. Each word, each pause, each shift in awareness has planted seeds of transformation that continue to grow, whether you notice them or not. Reality is not measured by the seconds on a watch, but by the alignment of your attention and the resonance of your inner frequency. Consider two people waking from the same meditation. One returns immediately to distraction, feeling the lesson has ended. The other carries the awareness forward, noticing synchronicities, subtle nudges, and shifts in perception. The outer world remains the same, yet their lived experience diverges completely. This is the subtle power of sustained observation, the entanglement of consciousness with the unfolding of reality. You are invited to be like the second observer, to let this moment expand beyond temporal constraints, flowing into every decision, every thought, every breath. Here's the truth. Your consciousness does not pause when the video ends. Quantum science reminds us that observation collapses possibility into form. Emotions ripple across unseen fields. Intention is an energy that continues to resonate, shaping events, attracting outcomes, and guiding your trajectory. The boundaries between now and later, inside and outside, and you and everything are porous, and they respond to your sustained awareness. The 24 minutes were a microcosm of infinite potential. You are free to live them continuously. Close your eyes and sense the expansiveness. Imagine stepping beyond linear time, beyond the limits of memory and expectation, into a dimension where creation is seamless, fluid, and natural. Each thought, each feeling, each deliberate act of alignment carries weight beyond its immediate appearance. Every intention, once felt and observed, propagates outward, entangled with possibilities you have not yet imagined. The universe is no longer distant. It is a mirror, a reflection, and a collaborator ready to respond in kind. End of chapter. Shift. Carry this awareness into life as your new normal. Observation, emotion, and intention are not practices confined to a moment. They are the very fabric of existence. Step into the infinite rhythm where creation is continuous, where identity and reality converge, and where your conscious presence orchestrates a symphony that unfolds beyond time. You are no longer limited by minutes. You are limitless. You are awake. You are aligned. And the world responds with quiet, poetic inevitability.